Hey guys, how's it going? Mark here from Mixit Studios. Welcome to the channel if you are new here. Today I am checking out another song by BAND-MAID. This is their song Warning. This is the official music video, so it's the first studio recording I'll have heard of theirs. The first track that I checked out by them was their song Play, and that was the official live music video. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what I think the difference is between their live production and their studio recordings. If you are new here, obviously as the video is titled, Sound Engineer Reacts, I'm reacting to things as a sound engineer, so from the production to the recording and mixing and so on. So looking at the kind of technical aspects and sharing my thoughts on what I think of those things as much as I am reacting to the music itself. So I hope you enjoy this. If you are interested in any of that kind of stuff, hopefully you will enjoy this video. Also, if you're a fan of the band and you're maybe interested in, what might go on behind the scenes to make things sound the way they do, hopefully me sharing some of my thoughts will be interesting for you. So yes, without further ado, let's get into it. This is Warning by BAND-MAID. Let's go. Okay, feels like a bit too early to stop the track, but I just wanted to comment on the little orchestrated intro. That was very cool and unexpected how it kind of then very quickly and suddenly launched into the actual song. The orchestrated bits sounded like sampled instruments, so not an actual orchestral recording of live musicians, more kind of synthesized or sampled instruments, which is pretty commonplace thing. It's easier and less expensive in a lot of cases to do that as opposed to hiring actual studio musicians, classical instrument players, and scoring everything out and making all that work. It can be a lot of work. So but yeah, that was great the way it launched into the track. Anyway, let's carry on. Okay, so a bit more of a fast tempo to this one, almost a slightly power metal-esque kind of energy to it, especially with the rhythm section, the drums. The drums for me, the way they're recorded, or maybe it's a combination of the way they were recorded and the way they were mixed. I feel like maybe the mastering has something to do with it, which I'll try and explain in a little bit. But yeah, the cymbals are a little bit kind of too brittle for me, a little bit washy sounding, and yeah, just not that pleasant sounding. Whereas everything else here, the snare sounds very nice. It has a nice depth to it, a nice sense of body, but also a nice snap and attack, which is very much the kind of snare sound that you want for a rock mix like this. The kick sounds nice, but it could do with maybe a little bit more like click or attack from the actual kick drum beater itself, just to help make it punch through in the mix a little bit more. I feel like it's slightly lost because of where it's sitting with the bass guitar, which the bass guitar, yet again, absolutely killer bass tone here. Just a nice growl and that nice bite again, a little bit of distortion that just helps it punch through the mix, the center of the mix very nicely. Yeah, just really like that growl. And there's a nice, sense of presence there as well, a little bit of treble, which is nice. Always nice in a kind of rock bass guitar sound where it's a little bit overdriven sounding. The vocals again here sound killer, really nicely recorded, and obviously a great vocalist and great vocal performance, which goes a long way to getting a good recording, obviously. Yeah, let's carry on with the track. Yeah, just listening to the vocal, there's some just really clever stuff going on in the mix here, where there's some very, very nice layering on the vocal here. So there's kind of what sounds like a doubled vocal going on, but at the same time it doesn't sound like that. It sounds, you know, like one lead vocal that's very up front and center in the mix, but there's some stacking of vocals going on there just to help kind of enrich the vocal sound and add some depth and density to it, some weight behind it. Not that the singer, you know, needs that, because she's got an amazing voice, but it just helps it kind of sit very nicely in the mix. There's some really nice compression on the vocal going on. So for those of you who don't know, compression basically reduces the volume level of something by a certain ratio. So, you know, say if you have a 3:1 ratio, for every 3 decibels it will reduce it by 1 decibel of volume, decibels being the measurement of volume that we have. There's more to it than that, and compressors very much have differing sounds depending on the compressor and how it works, because you have the attack and release times with how quick that volume reduction, that compression comes in, and how quick it's then released, or slow, quick or slow. They can have all sorts of characteristics for varying reasons, but compressors, it's largely to do with how they sort of affect the transients. So the transients are sort of like spikes in volume, I guess, in a waveform. So compressors can help sort of smooth out harsh transients in a recording, in a mix or whatever. It's just a really, really nice compression going on here. There's a little bit of like nice slight harmonic distortion going on in the vocal. It sounds like maybe that is from the compressor, something like a distressor, which is a very famous vocal compressor, or compressor in general, but it's just very, very good, particularly for rock vocals, for compressing that kind of vocal and just giving it some nice harmonic distortion that helps it cut through in a mix very nicely. Or it could just be from the way it was recorded with the preamplifier, which is what a microphone, the signal is sort of amplified through when it's being recorded, and you can drive a preamplifier if it's a nice like analog preamplifier with valves or something. You can drive it so that, yeah, you get a nice some nice harmonic characteristics going on. It sounds like that kind of thing going on here. It's just very nice choices in terms of how it was recorded and maybe mixed as well. Yeah, I'm not loving those cymbals on the drums. They are just a little bit brittle, and I think that, I feel like maybe that is to do with the mastering specifically, because everything is mastered very loud these days, and there are certain things that kind of tend to get affected depending on the genre. So in a rock mix, what often does kind of get affected is a lot of the stuff in the top end, like the cymbals, where it just starts kind of feeling a little bit or sounding a little bit brittle and getting distorted in a certain way. And that is no sort of, that's nothing, that's not me saying that this is bad mastering, far from it. It's very good mastering work going on here. It's just something that's atypical of modern mastering, because there are certain standards in place now where things need to be much louder than they used to be, and they also need to be consistent over, when you think, you know, sort of however many decades ago, like people weren't listening on headphones as much as they are now. They weren't listening through their phone speakers, their laptop speakers. So you've got a far wider range of speakers going on now that you need to make things sound good for, and that's what mastering does. It's the kind of final step in recording music, which just helps a mix translate well across, you know, all sort of speaker formats. And the mix, if you're not aware, is basically kind of where you balance everything out in a recording, and yeah, you'll equalize things tonally, you'll compress things to balance out levels, you'll set the general volume levels as well, like pan things in the stereo field, so whether they're, you know, dead center or more left or more right or whatever, and then apply any effects. And there's a lot more to it than that, but that's a kind of basic sort of gist of it, I guess. Yes, let's get back into the song. Before we get properly into the guitar solo here, which I'm excited for, that little break beforehand, there was a nice change in guitar tone where the guitars became a little bit sort of mid-range, more mid-range forward. It sounded like maybe just a change on the pickup selector on the guitars, just to make it a bit more mid-focused. In general, the guitars throughout this whole mix, the leads are a little more kind of scooped sounding, where you sort of cut out more of the mid-range, and then, well, like it says, scooped, you know, or smiley face EQ as some people refer to it too, where you sort of boost the high and low frequencies, cut out more of the mid-range, and the lead parts have a bit more of that tone. But in general, the guitars here are sort of very, very mid-focused in a very nice way, which just really adds a lot of like thickness to the sound of the guitars in this recording. Yeah, they just sit really nicely. They've got a nice stereo spread between the two guitar parts as well. It's very, very nice. Yeah, that change in guitar tone was nice. It, you know, whenever you have a kind of break in a song like that, or a particular change in a song, it's nice to introduce different changes beyond, you know, just changing what is going on musically in terms of whatever melodies or rhythms are being played. You can also introduce tonal changes, and that's where it can get quite fun in terms of recording and mixing, because that's something that, you know, it's partly choices a band can make, but by extension, whoever's recording, they can choose to record something a certain way to bring out, you know, what the band are trying to do with that change in the song, or the mix engineer can do that with EQing things a certain way or applying certain effects. And on the lead vocal just then, you had a very nice use of a distortion effect. Also some nice subtle layering of harmonies underneath, and I've noticed that throughout the song there's some nice doubles on the lead vocal where she's doing some like slight harmonies. Some of it is just straight one-to-one, you know, the same lead melody she's singing, but then there's some nice little bits of harmony dropped in alongside the actual backing vocals, which I assume are done by the other band members, and the other backing vocals are really nicely mixed here. They have a very nice spread on them, so they're not detracting from a main vocal, and, you know, they're kind of thinned out in a way, and this is a good thing. They're sort of thinned out, so they still sound, you know, rich and have body to them, but they don't sort of take up too much tonal room in the mix either. They're loud enough so you can hear them. They're definitely there and like punching through nicely in the mix, but at the same time, they are also sitting back against the lead vocal, if that makes sense. So, you know, you can pick them out if you want to. Otherwise, they are background, you know, because they're background vocals, and that's, there are little things like that that take a lot of skill to really master and do well as a mixing engineer and make that work, and sort of bring to life, you know, the vision that a band has. Because when you think about it, between a stereo set of speakers or your two earbuds, like, there's a lot of information to cram in there between, you know, whatever band it is and whatever instruments they play. Like, even for a rock band, you know, it's no orchestra, sure, but there's still a lot of information to cram in there. That vocal distortion again there, that was very nice. A little bit more distortion this time. Again, there's a little change in guitar tone there for that little break. You know, just nice production choices here. I like the video as well. I don't usually sort of comment too much on the videos, but I am watching the video in front of me, and yeah, you know, it's nice. I like the use of colour in the video, and it seems to fit lyrically with, you know, sort of reading the English subtitles that are coming up. I don't think I actually turned that on. I don't know if that's on the video or the closed captions, but anyway, I'm getting subtitles, and yeah, it seems to fit the video with the lyrical theme and stuff. So yeah, it's cool. I really enjoyed that. That was great. That definitely met up to expectations. Obviously, you know, having watched one of their live videos, their studio recordings don't disappoint. They're just as good as their live performances and recordings. Great production here. In particular, the vocal production was just great, with everything that was going on with the lead vocal, all the sort of stacking going on there, and some little use of harmony going on, the distortion effects. In general, the way the vocal was recorded and processed, I feel in particular the way it was recorded, just a nice mic choice, and then how it was sort of slightly driven maybe through a preamp or a compressor unit to add some subtle like harmonic coloration and distortion as well, but just sounded very, very nice and matched the vocal very well, brought out the best in her vocal performance. Bass tone killer here as well. I really liked how the guitars were very like mid-range focused generally in the mix, and just a nice wide stereo image, which you generally always want with a busy rock mix like this. The backing vocal production was great, how they were recorded and mixed, just there and up front, but also in the background at the same time, if that makes sense, which is not an easy thing to do, and it was done well here. The drums in general, a great drum performance, just really like solid, upbeat, you know, fast tempo, some great kick drum work I was noticing, and very nice snare sound. It was just the cymbals for me were just a little brittle, but it's always hard to tell. I mean, you know, it's going to be slightly different depending on what you're listening to them on. And obviously I am listening to a compressed YouTube stream as well. Not that that would affect things as much as some people seem to think, noticing what people comment on my videos. Yeah, especially when you have a high quality upload like this, although there is some kind of, you know, lossy process going on with the audio, it's not to the extent that you'd think. And honestly, like if if a recording and a mix and a master of a song doesn't sound good on YouTube, then, you know, it should sound good on anything, at whatever sort of lossy format it's in. Yes, it might sound better, you know, if you listen on a great set of speakers in a well-tuned room with very high quality audio files, then it's going to sound exceptional. But, you know, you should have a very close approximation of that if you know, you're listening on some cheap earbuds to a track on YouTube. You know, it's not the, I guess it's subjective. Some people might picture it or see it as worlds apart, but I certainly don't. And yeah, I like to think, you know, that my opinion on things has some weight to it as a audio engineer. So yes, anyway, great track. Really liked the production on this. You know, few little elements I didn't like, but that's pretty typical of you know, even my absolute favorite mixes and recordings of mine. There's still stuff that, you know, everybody's gonna sort of dislike or pick out certain things. Not even dislike really, it's just, you know, I didn't like them that much or something, I don't know. Anyway, I'm waffling. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it. What did you think of this track and its production? If you have any thoughts on it, what did you think of my reaction? And yeah, if there are any other tracks by this band or any other band or artist that you think you would like to see me react to, go ahead and drop a comment with your recommendations, and I will try and see if I can do them. I do get a lot of recommendations, but yeah, I always try to try my best to see what I can do. So yes, hope you enjoyed the video. I had fun listening to this track, and I'm looking forward to checking out more by this band. So yes, I will see you guys in the next one.